I want different kind of cars and I want different kind of drips. I got way too many broads every day. Another.
Y'all know what the fuck going on, man. It's your boy, y'all.
It's your boy, Heem.
Out to the director.
And welcome to the Dawg House Podcast, back with a new episode, man. We got a special guest in the building, Mr. CEO, Mr. Dope Shows, a.k.a. Mr. Shaw. We got Jamir Shaw in the building. We appreciate you for coming through.
For sure. Thank y'all for having me.
And we appreciate you.
For sure.
Before we get started, just tell everybody, like, what you do, like, what's your profession, and basically, like, yeah, just break down your whole...
I got you. Jamir Shaw. I'm the co-founder of Dope Shows and Dope Records. Dope Shows is a global boutique-style concert promotion company, and Dope Records is an independent record label that both companies started here in Philadelphia.
And from the home, too.
Yeah, that's
For sure. West Philly, to be exact.
So, as far as with, like, Dope Records and all that, like, when did you start that? When did you start, like, your record label?
The record label started, we came up with I always played around in music, but we started the label during the pandemic. Same partner, Steph and Piner. We started Dope Shows together. Being honest, we was just like, we was sending out a lot of front ends to artists to book them for concerts. And we always joked about, like, and we need to get an artist for ourselves. Like, we always sending money, or we always, like, we was learning the touring business. We was like, if we get an artist, we could really put them in this machine that we created. So during the pandemic, we was sitting on a lot of front ends because we had a lot of people booked. We didn't know the world was going to shut down. So it was like we had to be patient. So during that 15 months, we was like, yo, when it come back, we're going to really try to figure out the label side of it. And that was what we did.
For the viewers, can you tell everybody how old you are?
35.
That's crazy. So,
35.
I got a question. So, you doing it with a pandemic time, having shows that has people, like, basically people got to come out.
Right.
So, that's not like, well, I would think it would be hard, like, to, like, not even to want to do it due to the simple fact that people can't come out now because it's a pandemic.
Well, yeah,
right?
we were shut down for 15 months, but we didn't stop working, though. So, like, we worked every day during the pandemic, and still planning and still, like, at the time we was booking for our festival, which we bringing it back 2023, or this year, July, but we was booking for it for July 2020. Okay. So we had a lot of artists that was already paid to be on that festival. So it was like we was still working during the pandemic, trying to figure out, like, all right, when the world opened back up, how we gonna layer the shows, or what was, like, kind of our comeback plan. We also was looking at just the streams of income that we was losing money on. Like,
yeah, that's how
we kind of, like, reframed the business.
Yeah, I would say I feel like that would
probably. But we wasn't able to do no shows because people couldn't gather. We did, like, some online stuff, but it wasn't like nothing like the live experience.
Yeah. So other than the pandemic, so far, what has been some other difficulties being an independent show promoter? Because I feel like that's a profession that a lot of people don't look at. That can be a great way to get into the game. So, like, what's some difficulties that you face other than that?
I would say having the funds to keep it going, and when you lose on, because, like, we've lost on some shows as well. So, like, losing on shows and being able to, like, pick yourself back up. Like, I always talk about it. August 2017, we did a Jeezy show, which is a full circle moment because we just sold out Jeezy. Yeah, we just sold out Jeezy at the Met, and it was a sold out show. It was a great show, but rewind back to 2017, we did Jeezy in Baltimore, and we lost $100,000 that day.
Whoa!
For a new company, like, to be honest with you, like, we had to take off. We took, like, a 4-month hiatus just to, like, get ourselves back together to be able to figure out rent money, regular life money.
Yeah,
like, it had got that tough at that time. But we never lost faith in the vision of it all. So,
I was about to ask you that. I was about to ask you, like, what, like, going through them losses, like, all right, so for people that don't know, like, what's the losses like for us, like, being a promoter? Because I don't know what that means. Like, you say y'all took losses. Like, was a certain amount of people not coming, or like, it was a certain amount of money you had to bring?
Right. So the show is, when you go into a show, you create a budget, right? So it's like, all right, you know, like, the show might cost you, just for the sake of talking, the show might cost you $200,000. It's like, all right, now you might want to do, and that's a larger show. You can do shows for smaller than that. I don't want a viewer to think, like, oh, you can't get into the show business. Like, you need $200,000 to get into the show business. You can do it for cheaper, but for that budget, just for the sake of talking, I think that Jeezy budget was around 200,000. So at that point, it was like it's a lot of factors into it. So you trying to get like, you got ticket sales, you might have sponsors, you might sell, you trying to sell it. It's really like you just trying to sell a bunch of different opportunities for the day. And if Baltimore, what we didn't know, and early on we didn't know, like Baltimore was a walk-up town, which means like people don't really buy advanced tickets. They kind of a town where like they'll just come up, they'll pull up the day of the show.
And buy tickets, right.
And buy tickets. And with that not being our hometown, it was like it took us, it was a learning experience. That was our first time ever on the road. We was only 4 shows in at that time. So
how could you tell the difference?
Far as
What's a walk up town and what's not?
The ticket, so we get like, you get ticket reports every day. So it's like, tickets sell every day. So it's like,
so
I know.
y'all looking at it like, oh, this shit not hitting.
Yeah,
right.
like,
Okay.
As far as
So, but now you touching the people though, right? So
Yeah,
now it's like
your
you
phone.
going to the, every day you get an email to update you on like how many tickets you sold. So when you having days where it's like, dang, we ain't sell no tickets yesterday, or we sold 2 tickets yesterday, and now you getting, or the show 3 weeks out, like and because we've done so many shows at this point, we can gauge a show from the moment that it start, like the moment that the pre-sale to the first week of knowing like, all right, this gonna be a show that, like when Jeezy, as soon as Jeezy got on sale, what we did in the pre-sale within the first week, we knew like, all right, this show gonna sell out, just from studying the way ticket buying pattern.
Or being in the business that you is in, like, did you ever had to deal with like entitlement, like coming from, maybe it might be friends or family, like how do you deal with that, like people from like you in a certain space now, or you might be in a different tax bracket, and niggas be like, damn,
because
like,
people look at you saying, oh, he with this artist, he did this, and he got to be making this amount of money,
right, or like, yeah, like I was there with you with this happening, like, you get what I'm saying, like you ever had to deal with that?
Yeah, I feel like I definitely feel like you deal with that in life. It's not even just, I feel like in life you gonna figure out who for you, who not for you. I think that's gonna come. I think too though, just being transparent with your team, because sometimes it could look lit. There's some shows where it look crazy, but like internally we know this wasn't a crazy show financially.
Right.
So I think it's just being transparent with everybody, and everybody being on it. Sometimes a lot of that stuff comes from miscommunication. And if I'm not saying be transparent and tell your business to everybody. If they not part of your team, then they don't gotta know what's going on. But for the people that's like right up there, up under you, that's really you consider your team, is like we all trying to get it together. Like it's how Jordan went. I'm looking at it like that's how I look at this for real. For like I'm trying to live my life like a professional athlete. Like the amount of work and dedication that they put into their craft, into their career, that's how much work and dedication I want to put into mine. So like I can't do it by myself. Jordan ain't win 6 rings by himself. So like just knowing like spreading it and knowing like everybody on board for the vision. Yeah. But I do think that's something that happens, and I feel like you got to deal with it. I can't tell you that everybody that once was around me is around me today. Right. But I feel like that just come with it. It come with life.
Yeah. Right.
What's your dream venue that you want to book? What's that one building that you got in mind? Top priority.
Right now, I'm gonna say Citizens Bank Park, but that's not my dream building. My dream building, 40,000.
Yeah, that's the Philly.
My dream building would be Lincoln Financial Field, but that's not like that would come later.
Right.
So as to date, we've sold out every venue in Philadelphia, every indoor venue in Philadelphia, which the largest one is the Wells Fargo. That was my dream venue for years.
Wells Fargo, yeah.
We sold that out twice last year. So now Citizens Bank Park would be the next step for us. And then the goal for the business is to get to stadium level. So like where we doing football fields every night. But that's gonna take some time.
I want to touch on that though. Is it an artist that you want to book, like that you didn't do? Who that dream artist?
I mean, dream artist.
Not dream artist, but who that artist that you really? If I need that.
Yeah.
That's why you've been listening to for your whole life.
Your whole life.
So Hove my favorite artist.
I knew. I swear to God, I knew he was gonna say that.
Yeah. Hove my favorite artist.
I knew he was gonna say that.
But
my God.
even shout out to Meek. We just did Meek.
Shout out to Meek.
10th year anniversary.
That was lit, wasn't we?
Yeah. And that was a moment. I feel like that Meek has been an artist that I always wanted to do something with. But Hove for sure.
I knew.
If we ever grateful enough to be able to get a Hove beat. Of course Drake. I feel like Drake is one of the biggest artists in music.
That's tough.
Right now we got a lot of plans. This is gonna be a big 2023. Our goal is the 15 shows this year.
Yes.
So, I think I feel like it's gonna all come together.
It definitely is. Yeah.
For sure.
So I want to say, can you get like the game on basically like with sponsorships, like how you go about basically like building those relationships and stuff like that? You mean like you gotta basically come to them type thing, or you just work and hope people see you?
I would say going to them, pitching them, creating a need for them to want it. But I would also say tap into your immediate circle first. Brands or people that you know that like is close to you and gonna understand exactly what you're doing or see your vision. Try to tap in with them and then let it filter out to bigger companies and bigger sponsorships. I'm gonna be honest with y'all though. I think that every business struggle with sponsors, getting people to spend money. We see some shows more than others that people want to do sponsorships, but that's still an area that we trying to grow into. Like,
I want to speak on your label for a second though. Like, how did you discover Wptoure? Like, how did you get in contact with him? How did y'all build that relationship to the point where y'all at now? Or NG12 too? My bad.
No, it's cool. So, I was a fan of Tours.
Yeah.
It wasn't even. I was a fan. It wasn't even. It started from there. And I was a fan. I used to listen to the music. I felt like he didn't drop, but I couldn't understand why he wasn't dropping enough or like what was going on with the actual music.
Hold on 1 second. I don't want to switch it, but when he just said that, right? One day, right? I'm in detention, right? So no, this funny as shit. One day I'm in detention, right? So we talking about some music or something, right? So at the time when you were a kid, you look at your dean as just like your dean, like he ain't like I didn't look at him as like, he had an outside life. No, this is just my teacher, right? Sure. He like, well, listen, what music y'all listening to? I'm like, we like, man, you don't know nothing about this. He talking about. Fuck, I think I listen to Kids Bop or something. Me see, like, yo, I had to really say anything about it though.
Yeah, I always tapped in. I used to rap when I was younger. Like I always had ambition to like doing exactly what I'm doing today. That's what I always dreamed of. And that's another thing too. I want to say to the youth is like, don't think it's the social media era kind of make people feel like it's gonna happen overnight. Like I'm 35 and I really feel like I'm just getting started. Like. All the things I did earlier on just helped the man that I am today. Like I always say, the school was some of the most impactful things that I've done because I've really got to tap in with the youth and really understand them, know what they've been through, and like tie that to my life in so many ways. It just helped. I feel like don't think that like you in a rush. Like life is a marathon. It's not like a sprint. You don't gotta like just have it overnight. Like my grandpa just passed not that long ago, but he was 100 years old. So like even when I look at that, it's like I'm 35. It's like I only lived a third of his life. Right. It's like I could change my life today for the better and live 35 more years in a totally different direction than what my first 35 years look like. So don't feel like where you at today, you gotta like you stuck there. It's like you could change your situation at any given moment. It's like each day if you waking up trying to do something to push a goal forward, it's gonna work eventually.
And I want to touch on that too, because I'm a product of what he said. Like he really tapped in with me. Like whatever stuff he used to say to me, it didn't click at the time, but as you get older, you start to remember certain stuff. Like you sitting in that office or you being that dickhead or whatever the case may be, you being that person. You start to listen to certain stuff because you don't want to be that person. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, he taught me a lot. I'm not gonna say and make it seem like he said certain stuff to me, like, yeah, you gotta do this, young boy. But me just being in certain places that I wasn't supposed to be in, he showed me like, yo, it's different ways you can conduct yourself. You could be doing something with your life. And what social media playing a major part. Me looking at him like, damn, like I could change my life just the way he did. Or I could be something better than, like, that shit not cool. Like, being in school, like, I used to think getting in trouble was cool. Like, everybody thought that shit was funny and cool and all that. But once you leave high school and once you leave middle school and life really hit, all that dickhead shit,
it's over.
You gonna be looked at as a dickhead when you try to go and get some jobs, when you try to go change your life. Oh, yeah, he was a dickhead in school, yeah. I could have burned my bridges with him. I could have burnt my bridges because I really was one of them. Like, always talking crazy, always was shot out. But as you get older, you learn. Like, I'm telling y'all, I'm the same age as y'all. I might be a little young, or I'm telling y'all, you better start acting. I'm telling y'all, they don't want to listen, bro. You see where I'm at now? I'm trying to change my life. I want to get big with this. I know he want to be big as a promoter as he can be. You get what I'm saying? It's all about getting your act together.
For sure.
Real shit.
I wanted to ask another question. As far as like connections and getting bookings in other cities, do you just follow where your connections lead you, or as far as like, say you want to book something in Brooklyn or go down to Atlanta and book something, do you have to have a connection with somebody prior to that, or do you already go looking for something already?
Our first show we did out of town was in Boston, and Boston came because we did Fab and Kiss in Philly. We so like when I first introduced what Dope Shows is, I said a global boutique style concert promotion company, right? Emphasis on the word global. When we started the company, we knew we was going to start in Philly because that's where we was at, but we knew that we was taking the show on the road. So once the Kiss and Fab show worked here, we asked them, like, where else could we take the show to? Like, it wasn't, and they said Boston was one of their biggest markets for both of them, and we let them lead the business. So they told us that Boston, we got in contact with the venue in Boston, we booked it in Boston, we ended up selling out in Boston. The same, but it was more like just listening to the artist in that situation. Jeezy, when we did him, Baltimore was the next city we was in. It wasn't supposed to be Baltimore at first. We were supposed to be going to North Carolina. And that was just more like us looking at the different venues and like seeing what venues we could get. It was supposed to be Jeezy in North Carolina, but then when we start talking to Jeezy Camp, he ended up saying like Baltimore was one of his biggest markets. Because early on, we used to ask, which we still do, we used to ask artists that when expanding outside of, I feel like we could sell anybody out in Philly because we know that we from here, we know the market. Sure. But going to these other towns, you really want to know that the artist data supported. Like you want to know that how the artists do in that market is more relying on the artist because people don't. When we went to Boston, like people didn't know Dope Shows. That was our third show ever. So it was like people in Philly barely knew us at that time. So it was we just kind of let the artists guide it. Now it's like more of through our Live Nation deal, we got like a territory. So it's like now we got the whole Northeast region. So it's like New York, Jersey, Philly, Delaware, the whole DMV, crazy, right? Connecticut. So like our expansion now is gonna be based off of like us. Basically, what we did in Philly, our goal is to do that in every market. So like be the number one premier concert promotion company in each one of those markets. So that's how the growth gonna come now. But it was just figuring out where we thought the artist could sell at.
What's the farthest y'all ever like booked the show?
Probably DC. I would say is probably the furthest. Boston is probably further.
Boston further than DC.
Yeah.
It's about like 3
So
hours.
Boston.
I say you ain't never. My bad. You ain't never touched on how you discovered touring. What you call me? You ain't never.
Oh, all right. No, it's cool. So I was a fan of Tours. I felt like he was the hottest from our city. I always said that if we did do some music stuff, he would be an artist that I would want to go get. And we reached out from a few channels, and we ended up having to sit down with him. We went to dinner. We explained to him what our vision was, and he was with it. I feel like it took a couple conversations. We was probably talking for like a week before we got the business done, just kind of kicking it, but we ended up getting it done. Shout out to DJ Bout though. He was the one that like ended up like making the actual call as far as to tour and like kind of. I've been knowing Bout since I was a kid, boy, so man, I'm telling you. Yeah, we've been knowing each other. He had a good relationship with Tour, so we was coming at Tour from a few different angles, but I would say DJ Bout was the strongest angle of like him and Tour had somewhat of a business relationship. Tour had a lot of respect for him. Yeah, it was like when we sat down with the dinner meeting, that was kind of like a Bout push. So shout out to DJ Bout.
Is that the same thing with G12 too?
No, so G12 situation came about. G12 manager is close to Tour, so that's like something that's like behind the scenes, like people may or may not know, but they got like they like brothers. So G12 was actually locked up at the time, and Skinny used to just be around us in the studio with Tour, and we used to always just be talking about it. And then it was like when 12 come home, we was going to sit down with him and just talk with him, and we talked to him a few times when he was booked, and when he came home, we got in the studio with him. And we loved the music, loved his energy, for sure. And we ended up inking the deal. And I feel like too, like we want like the label is more like everything we do is more like a family feel. So it's like even with that, with the label, it's like we got to make sure that like we could get along and it could really work in that way. It ain't really about just the business. So we was kicking it with 12 for a little bit, kicking it with Tour for a little bit, and then we got both deals done. I'm not saying this because they are artists, but I feel like they the hottest in the city. I don't think nobody messing with them. Hood Poetry out right now. The Ticket out right now.
Definitely.
And we coming. I feel like we just really getting our feet. Like even if you look at, we 6 years in with Dope Shows, but we like less than a year in with the label. Like we ain't even really kicked the door in with the label yet. So just a lot of stuff coming. Dope Records, we coming, and with that we thinking global. We ain't chasing Philly. I think too. Like I know sometimes it's hard to see. Like how you said, I used to feel like when I worked at this school, like a lot of kids only seen like a 6-block, 8-block radius. Like they ain't really traveling around. They not really going nowhere. But with the internet, is like you could look at other companies or look at people that's doing what it is that you want to do, and like follow their story. Even you don't gotta know them, you don't gotta talk to them. Like the proof is in the pudding. It's like look at what they doing. Because I ain't ashamed to say it. When we first started Dope Shows, I'm sure a lot of people know about a company called Rolling Loud. Like I wasn't. I didn't. It was no concert promotion companies in Philadelphia that I was looking at to inspire me. But I was looking at just on social media and like YouTube and looking up interviews that they did, and like I was studying just what they was doing or like what they had going on, just paying attention to it from afar, not feeling like I got to DM them to have lunch with them for them to tell me what I could do. Is like, no, I could really just watch what they doing and see like they doing it at a high level. Like that's how I want my brand to look. Right. And it's like, that's what, and each time it's like now I always find different entrepreneurs to like look up to, and I don't be knowing none of these people personally. I've never sat down with them. They don't even probably know that I'm looking at them in that way. But like, inspiring. Yeah, but right now I ain't ashamed to say it. There's a guy, David Grutman. He owned a bunch of businesses. He's somebody that like everybody that's on my team know like I'm paying attention to what he building, because he building a multi-million-dollar industry. Like he in the hospitality world, and it's like, that's what I inspire to do. Like, and I'm watching him from afar. So I think just like even that, finding people like Hove was my inspiration when I was a kid. Like I watched every Hove interview, took the music literal, and like tried to adapt those things into my life. I think like people just gotta be forward thinking. I think sometimes being in Philly be feeling like a trap. So it's like you only could see what's right in front of you. Like you gotta think past that. Think about what you want your life to be in 5 years and start building on that every day.
Yeah, I want to say, like, never be afraid to fail, too. Diamonds are made through pressure. Don't ever just assume, because things going bad down, that it's going to stay like that. Just keep going.
To your point, though, our first 3 shows we sold out. We had Fab and Kiss first. We did Rick Ross right after that. We did Fab and Kiss in Boston, and we sold 3 shows out. We was on fire in our head. Baltimore, we lost $100,000. That was like the carpet got pulled from up under us. Right. But to be honest with y'all, that was where we learned everything at. Because when you on fire, you ain't really, it's like you selling the shows out, so you ain't really looking at how sloppy you are. You ain't really looking at if you losing money nowhere, or like where you messing up at, because you just feeling the glory of it all. I feel like losses in life is like they'd be the best lessons.
Right, for sure. Yeah. I wanted to speak back on the label wise. When you scouting for artists, what you looking for in particular?
A star quality.
What's star quality?
It depends. So I always tell Wptoure this. Wptoure, his charisma is like something I feel like a lot of people don't like. We gonna tap into it, but like his personality, his charisma, like he hot. Super hot.
For sure.
But,
hey, what do you say? He said, what do you say?
Glock 17, but it's in the club.
No, that's hot. He says the
Wptoure
got to kick back like Ike losing. I said, what? I said,
Wptoure one of a kind, but it's still like them star qualities, and like just knowing like charisma, I would say, just feeling like, one, I feel like you gotta listen. I gotta feel like we not signing nobody that I feel like is going to jeopardize the brand, or not like. And I'm not saying nobody gotta come packaged perfect either, because it's all a process. These guys is young, so it's like this the first time they even around big business in this way. But I need them to respect. Like when we was starting Dope Records, a lot of people was telling us like, don't tie it to Dope Shows. Like more like keep it separate, because you don't want the artist to ever tarnish the show side. The show side, we got $1 billion partner. It's like you certain stuff you ain't flying. Right. But we stuck with it, because I feel like if we carrying it like we a family, it's all one anyway. But at the end of the day, the artist gotta respect that too. Like the artist gotta know that like we got too much to lose. Like we not like we thinking big about this. It's not like I don't care. Tour's goals is not to be the hottest in Philly. Like we not chasing that. G12 is not trying to be the hottest in Philly. We want to be the hottest in the world. We trying to compete with Lil Baby, Lil Durk, like those type of artists. So I don't know. I feel like I always had that though from a kid. Like I always thought big. Like even now, and I feel like God been putting on me to like even think bigger. For sure. And another thing too, I ain't really touch on this, but like have faith in God, and I probably should have led with that. Like whatever God it is that you that you God too. Yeah, like whatever God it is that you serve is like it's one God, and it's like have faith. Like one thing I even realized recently with me is like I start praying about a lot of the decisions I make now. Like where before I used to just be more like in my own head, or like I've been doing this long, so it's like I don't care, or like letting things stress me out, or letting things throw me off. Whereas like now, and I be more like when things happen, I just really try to pray about them and feel like God gonna guide me in the right way. And if sometimes everything don't go right, everything don't go perfect, but I also know that that's part of the process.
Yeah. I've learned that you're not gonna always get everything you want. You're not supposed to.
Not at all. And it's a process.
God gonna give you what you need.
God gonna give you what you need, and He gonna put you through certain things to prepare you for it. Year 2, I wanted to do the Wells Fargo. We wasn't ready, but we did it year 5. And it's like I could be looking at it like, dang God, like why? Like I'm trying to figure out the Wells. I'm year 2, but it was like no, like when he did it, we sold the Wells Fargo out. It wasn't like we could have did the Wells Fargo year 2 and could have got our behinds with for real, like or you took a crazy L.
All this motion, I could do it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy though, cause God working mysterious ways though, cause like when we was starting this, like I said, my man right here, he the reason why like we took it to full first. Like I always wanted to do a podcast. Like everybody always wanted to do it. It's some shit we talk shit about. Like, we need our own podcast, bro. We always talking shit all the time. Let's do a podcast. He was the first one to do it at his job. He had like a little studio joint, so it was like helping us prepare for certain stuff. Like
go in there and make episodes.
Out of nothing, like rough drafts. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Then we try to look for a studio. We go to pull up to the studio. Ain't nobody there. Me and him, ain't nobody there. We find this studio. It's like fell on our lap. Everything you need and stuff like that. It was like it's crazy. Like I feel like everything is like God got a plan for you. You just gotta definitely got a plan for you. You just gotta go with it.
So
be consistent
and
too.
serve Him while you at it. Like
and always be appreciative. Be appreciative of what you have and don't worry about what you don't. Because a lot of people always worry about what they don't have. You need to appreciate what you got in front of you and worry about just your circle. I feel like people like that's what another thing far as like with the youth, like people our age, I feel like they always look at social media as like judging them off of social media. Like their life might not be as good based off of what they see on social media. You get what I'm saying? They worrying about what other people have.
But you're only looking at somebody's highlights on.
You're only looking at somebody's highlights. Instagram is a highlight reel. Who has bad highlights?
Nobody.
Name one.
Right.
Ain't low lights.
Like, come on, bro. Instagram can make anything look good. I'm not saying people don't have it like that, but I'm saying some stuff can be fabricated, and people be looking at it like, damn, I'm struggling. I'm 20. He 20. He got a house. You don't know how he got that house. You don't know how he got that car. You don't know what he got to do with to even keep that car. Just stay in your own little lane, like race. Basically, that's all I'm basically trying to get at.
And it's crazy because when I was younger, I used to always, when I was doing parties, I felt like I wanted to be the biggest party promoter in Philly, right? And it was like that's what I was striving to do, and I knew I wanted to do concerts at some point, but like I never got like I knew like it's gonna come with time. It's not like nobody come right in. Like we talk about Michael Jordan as one of the greatest athletes ever. Like he ain't come right in and win the championship.
Right.
Like he had to grind for some years to be able to figure it out. It's like everybody in life got to where as soon as you get there, it feel like you an overnight success. But it ain't really like that. Everybody you see that's doing it, like we talked when I said shout out to Meek far as what he doing 10 years. But it's like I remembered being in parties and in clubs and like seeing Meek build it up and like in my bag or he had shot DVDs and stuff. Is like it could feel like like even when we talk about 10 years from his first album, but he probably 20 years from when he first started rapping and really trying to build it. Is like he put 20 years of his life into it.
Just gotta trust the process.
Like, I want you can't.
Nothing happened.
It's like you gotta just stay focused on it.
What's the grind of that goes in before a show? Like what's all the aspects that you got to go in for show prep? Like, cause I know
Like the process?
we see the dates, but like prior to that, like what's everything that you got to put into that?
Yeah.
So, Yasir spoke about the like me being a dean. So I feel like Mastery gave me like the structure to know how to like go to work. I ain't know that before. So, like I treat when I retired from the school, I treat dope shows with the same mindset that I felt like when I worked at Master, I had to be there from 7:30 to 3:30 every day. And I couldn't be late. They gave me a to-do list every day of like, these things got to be done before you go home. I just transferred that same mindset into the business. So I work Monday through Friday, 8-hour to 10-hour day, like the same way I would work if I was working for somebody, but it's for myself. And I really just grind it out. So like, to be honest with you, when y'all see that, like when the fans see the end result of a show, is like, we not even working on that show no more.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah, so like we always 2-3. Yeah, we always 2-3 shows
We doing that
ahead.
now. Like people, I'm about to say, yeah, people be worrying about like the episode that we about to drop. We be like 3 episodes.
Right.
And that's how you gotta have that mindset. But what we created from taking them losses and learning lessons, we created like a blueprint, where it's like I got a checklist sheet, where it's like a show readiness sheet, where it's like I know that all of these things, it might be 40 different things that's on the list of like, these things have to get done. Some of them get done earlier. It's like we got different points. So like, all right, when the show get announced, you got to do these things. When the show at the halfway point, you do these things. The week going into the show, that's when you organizing the backstage list, the comp list, all the different facets of like front of
like, I wanted to speak on that. Like, how does like people be trying to get backstage? Like, your folks might try to get backstage. Like, how is that like? Like, how do you deal with that?
The answer is no. So, and I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's how I feel like too. What people don't realize about concerts is that it's a business. It's not like I'm not in people. People go to concerts and enjoy themselves. To be honest with y'all, I don't enjoy myself at my concerts. I'm at work.
Right.
So I think people trying to and people want to be backstage and to get their stuff off and like to make it look lit, which I understand. However, backstage is, if something go wrong backstage, that could ruin your entire show. And what I think this is like a step further about the business, is in this business, you don't technically get paid until the artist touch the stage. So you have to, like, if everybody pays to see Lil Durk, if for whatever reason Lil Durk don't make the stage, everybody that's there that paid money is eligible for a refund. So people sometimes think that like we act in a certain type of way about not wanting, like, it is no backstage. It's no we don't have a backstage, because backstage is for the artist to prepare to be able to give us a dope show. It's like,
they give us a dope show.
Yeah, it's like that's what we here for.
You really gotta put a lot of faith in these artists then for them to show up to these shows, because that's a lot on the line for sure.
It is.
Y'all gotta do like contracts with that then, right?
Yeah. Everyone don't do nothing. Like, everything is contracts. Everything is set. And even that, I say, like, start early in your business trying to do things by the book. Like, don't try to cut a bunch of corners, because you gonna feel it over time. Like, every corners we used to try to cut, we felt it, or we had to end up fixing it later. So I say be on it. But as far as the backstage go, it ain't no backstage for us. The artist,
what's the
backstage
movie?
is for the artist.
Jakey Promoter.
Yeah.
Everybody got
Jeezy was mad as shit, yo.
I'm about to say, all right, my last question for you is, I want to know, like, what's like a future goal that you want to achieve, whether it's this year or in the future, like any new businesses you want to try and tap into, like, which like future goal?
Something I definitely want to expand. First, I want to say I want to expand on my current businesses, which are Sitting Pretty Event Rental, Dope Shows, Dope Records. I want to blow those businesses up to the max. This year, I plan on launching a water brand. So like my own water.
That's heavy.
That's crazy.
Water?
You mean people drink
bottled
water?
Yeah, bottled water.
That's heavy.
And that's something that I ain't really talked about, but that's something I want to do. And like future plans is like, when I was a kid, I always wanted to do TV. Like, I always wanted to be in the television space. No, like being
Producing, like, on
like
some,
writing
50 Cent and all
shows,
that.
yeah,
Right,
like
right,
producing
right,
all of that.
Too, for
So
sure.
that's something that I feel like is a long-term goal. Like I got 10, 15 years left in what I'm currently
Definitely gonna
doing.
get there, though.
But that's when I get to that level, I want to be, but everything I want to do, I want to do it at a high level. So when I get to the point to be able to do TV, I want to do it at that. That's who I'm inspiring to be, the 50s of the world, or like the how Snowfall is, Godfather or Harlem. Like I want that type vibes, but I want to tell Philly stories. And like I don't feel like Philly ever got the light that we hear and we know it's rough, but like we a real heavy culture town. And I feel like we gotta do a better job too of like making Philly business like family business, like not broadcasting all the negativity about here, because then that deter people from wanting to do stuff here. And the youth gotta realize that too. Like when you out here, when you got 500 murders, it's hard to get big businesses that want to come in here and do stuff or just have stuff here. There's been times where we done had shows and we might got to spend an extra $5,000-$10,000 just to secure it a certain way with police details and stuff that we wouldn't have to deal with, or people in other cities don't got to deal with it. And it don't deter us because we from here and we know this is where the vision started. But if you telling the company, like, if you come to Philly and do it, it's going to cost you more to do it there than it's going to cost you to do it somewhere else. Business could get, business could get deterred from it.
We gotta get better with that. I ain't
We do, man.
definitely gotta get better.
About the support system, like you go to LA and Atlanta and all that shit, they support each other.
Everybody support each other.
100%.
Sure. Yeah.
I said they gonna change that though.
Yeah.
They can
So I want to
change
know what's probably like one of your best like performers.
it. You just strictly performing. You saying like
Yeah, like we do a show, like you know, you do a show with this guy, like you love their performances.
I don't know. There's a lot of people. Like I feel like Jeezy did an amazing performance
I seen that.
on Friday at the Met, so that was good. Every time we had Fab, I feel like Fab kill it every time. Dirk, I watched him grow. We was the first company that ever did Dirk. Like that was kind of I ain't gonna say kind of, that was our idea. Dirk with the band, like he ended up doing a whole tour with the band. So like even that, trying to give artists tips of like how they could make their show better or how they could build their show up. So I feel like seeing Dirk growth in that way. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody, but that's another thing too for us, is like our slogan since we started this been ain't no shows like dope shows. And we mean that. Like we that's the work we putting in. Like even with the artists, like when Jeezy team get there, I'm telling them like we ain't taking nothing less than an hour set or a 75-minute set, because we don't want people coming in like when people spend money with us, we want them to know that they gonna get a dope show. There's gonna be an experience, not like you could go see somebody with somebody else, but it ain't gonna feel like how it is with us. And it's strategic that way. Like that's we set out every show to like come up with, if we gonna have a VIP lounge, what openers we gonna put on the show. Like everything we thinking about is like when we had the Wells Fargo show in April, which was Lil Baby, Lil Durk, Gunna, G Herbo, birthday bash. And the youngest in the city, shout out to Philly Goats,
shout out to them.
DJ Crazy, Za Sosa, like that whole Too Rare, that whole movement of the Shake That movement, or just that whole thing. I feel like it was good. I always said like, dang, like if I was in a school when that was out, like I know all the young boys, man, they shaking it and all of that. Yeah, like I would have been tapped in a little bit more with it, but just being in the space of knowing we got a sold out show, it's gonna sell out regardless, but like being able to add the youngins to that and like make them be a part of that. Like we always about that as a brand of like what's things that we could do to like embody our city, to push the youngins up. It's like some of them that performed in there, that might be their only time ever performing at the Wells Fargo, but it's like we wanted to make sure that opportunity was given.
You got a life-changing experience.
I say me and him, shout out to Wayne, the cameraman in the back, but no, me and him, we went to the Meat concert or whatever, and we seen that you had Wallow like basically like hosted, Wallow and Gilly. Like how y'all get them to like host it? Like, or they was already
That was
there?
more Meek. Yeah, that was more Meek play. Wallow has hosted things for us though. We got a good relationship. Shout out to Wallow.
Shout out to Wallow.
Yeah, got a great relationship with Wallow. Wallow always helped the brand, push the brand forward. We've been working with Wallow literally. Wallow might have been out for a week. And he was at a show, and that just came from like me seeing him come home and like seeing what he had going on, and was like, all right, just start coming to the shows, and we built it up. And he been a great friend, And he always try to give us opportunities, and vice versa. We always try to do the same.
Respect that.
You plan on signing any more Philly artists?
At some point, to be honest, I'm also like I don't want to bite off more than I could chew type of person.
Absolutely.
So I feel like right now, and I know that we got a lot going on with the shows, and I don't want to say that we not signing no more Philly artists because we definitely gonna always represent for
I
our
want to
city.
recommend some.
But I want, I would love to
Y'all
hear
wanna
who y'all
recommend
think
some?
is super hot.
I'm
Sure, I
not.
reckon.
I'm an industry boy.
He's a
They know-
he's
they
a
know it all
weirdo.
on the ground.
You want to recommend one? I know one.
I know a lot of the youngins don't
I'm about to say
say.
for me, I got two. For one, or I'm gonna say from West, my man D Rose. He one of the hottest in the city, and run around the way. And shout out to Lil Bucks. I really like him heavy. Like his music, like
I be hearing a lot about Lil Bucks,
That's
too.
like two off the top I could think of that like I'm like, all right, like just looking forward into it. You got one? Yeah. My man.
Yeah, so I was gonna say 5. That's what I was gonna say. I can't really think about nobody else.
So yeah, it's a lot of talent in the city.
It's
though. Like,
super
just- there's
talent
a lot of
in the
talent.
city.
I don't want to snub nobody. That's just off the.
Because I
just
can't
off the
think of
name.
who signed or who not. So
Right.
I don't want to say nobody who signed.
Right.
I would just say to all the artists, signed or not, keep grinding. It don't matter. It don't matter because situations change every day. Things happen. Keep pushing yourself. Keep pushing the music forward. We definitely gonna sign other Philly artists. I feel like I owe it, or we owe it, to the 2 artists that we got now to really blow them up and really
Facts.
get them as
Facts.
big as we know that they could be. So, yes, we definitely taking on more, but right this second, we just 100% focused on growing. This year in particular is like we plan on having 15 shows, and that's at minimum. And we plan on both artists going to the max of their potential, and probably towards maybe the end of the year, we probably start exploring other options as far as other artists.
Nice.
But the plan, Dope Records is like, even when I told y'all like how when we first started Dope Shows, we was looking at companies like Rolling Loud or different Live Nation, different people. Like when we first started Dope Records, we was looking at Bad Boy, Rockefeller,
Facts.
Cash Money. It's not like we not on no like, oh, we the
thinking big
trying to
every time.
be, not
Facts.
trying to be the biggest Philly label. That ain't what we on.
Biggest label in the world.
So yeah, so like that's the mindset, and it's like
Go ahead.
when we get these 2 artists that we currently got to the point that we feel like, all right, we could spread out a little bit more, because you don't want to take on more than what you can handle too. You got to be honest with yourself, because it's never gonna work if you take on more than what you can handle.
Absolutely. Well, speaking on that, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but how long down the line until we see Dope Shows international? You want to go overseas? or something?
2024.
Oh shit! All right, good job. All right, hey, I was expecting to answer that fast. All right, good job. Where you looking at?
Toronto is a place that might end up
I was
happening.
thinking Canada.
sooner
Yeah, I
than
was thinking
later.
Canada. That's heavy.
God.
That's heavy.
But anywhere, for real, Paris, I love. We could do something in Africa. I would love to do that.
I love Africa. That's it. Yeah,
yeah,
As long as you
so-
give us some tickets. Man.
I got
Sure.
y'all. I got y'all.
Sure.
But definitely want to 2024. Definitely want to go out the states.
I say before we get out of here though, I want to say I really appreciate you for coming on, because
Yeah.
for those who don't know, I damn near begged this man. I'm like, bro, like, listen, I got this podcast. I'm telling you, I
No.
need you. I need you. Appreciate
I was out of the city for a little minute.
Yeah.
But I definitely, when I knew I was gonna be home for Jeezy, so I said I definitely had to stop here and do it.
And we really
don't
appreciate
stop.
Appreciate you taking
Don't
time out your
don't
day.
stop. I'm telling y'all, just stay at it. I love what y'all got going on.
Appreciate it.
I do want to leave everybody with what we got coming up. Dope Shows. Follow the brand. Is dope_shows_ dope records on everything as well.
Make sure y'all tap into their artists too.
Yeah, Tour G12. We got February 24th. We got Lil Durk
Lil Durk, yes.
at the
We will
Leah
be
Core
there.
Center.
And we
Meet us
will
there.
be in the building. Meet us there. Matter of fact, beat us there. We will be.
for sure.
And before we step out, I appreciate you
gotta
coming.
look
We
out.
show love on this podcast. So just for you coming here, we got some gifts for you. The guys came through once again. Hold on, I got to tap in. Once again, shout out to Rex 6 once again.
I've been seeing it too.
Yes.
So
I got it on me. So for those that don't know what it is, I got it on me. I got it on me. You got to get the 6, you know what I'm saying? Sweatsuit for you. I appreciate you for coming on.
I appreciate y'all.
Dope shows. Oh, give him the bag? Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah, you definitely got to give him the bag. My fault. We got to give him the bag. Yeah, Rex 6. Official Rex6.com. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dope shows, Dog House, nut ass niggas.
Oh, yeah.
It's a rat.
For sure.
It's a rat.
different kind of cars and I want different kind of trips. I got way too many broads every day another